Good evening and welcome to the Sleeping Zoo. Facts to fall asleep to. The evolutionary tree of primates is rich with unique branches, yet few lineages are as enigmatic, ancient, and utterly specialized as the infraorder Tarsier forms, commonly known as Tarsiers. These diminutive, tree-dwelling creatures from Southeast Asia stand alone as the sole surviving members of a primate group that once flourished globally, marking them as living fossils, evolutionary masterpieces whose every feature is a concession to a predatory, nocturnal existence. To truly appreciate the Tarsier is to study a complex group of species, currently comprising approximately 14 known forms across 3 main genera: the Philippine Tarsier, Carlito siricta; the Western Tarsier, or horsefields, Tarsier cephalopacus bancanus; and the numerous species of spectral tarsiers from Sulawesi and its surrounding islands, Tarsier spectrum, and its relatives. Our journey begins with an inspection of the physiology of these peculiar primates, an adaptation so extreme it borders on the surreal, starting with the most compelling feature of all, their eyes. The eyes of the Tarsier are arguably the single most dramatic adaptation in the entire class Mammalia. Each eyeball is immense, roughly 16 millimeters in diameter, and weighs more than the animal's entire brain. This is a crucial ratio, as no other primate, and few other mammals, possess eyes so disproportionately large relative to their body size, a feature perfected for maximizing light intake in the pitch black of the forest canopy. The sheer scale of these ocular globes has necessitated a profound physiological trade-off. The eyes are immobile within their sockets. Tarsiers cannot glance sideways or look up and down. They must move their entire head to shift their field of vision. This limitation is elegantly compensated for by their cervical vertebrae, which are uniquely flexible, allowing the animal to rotate its head a full 180 degrees in either direction, affording them a 360-degree range of vision without moving their body, a capacity normally associated with owls. This high-definition, panoramic vision is critical to their survival, setting the stage for their unique predatory behavior. Moving beyond the visual marvels, the Tarsier's acoustic apparatus is equally specialized. They possess remarkably large, thin, and highly mobile ears, which can independently swivel and fold like radar dishes to precisely locate the slightest rustle or click made by a potential insect prey or an approaching predator. This acute hearing works in tandem with their vision, allowing them to pinpoint targets in 3 dimensions in the deep darkness. Furthermore, the overall scale of the animal is consistently small across all species, reinforcing their specialization. The body size generally ranges from 10 to 15 centimeters, roughly the size of a human fist, with a long, tufted tail that can add another 20 to 25 centimeters of length, used primarily for balance. Their weight hovers between 80 to 160 grams, making them among the smallest primates in the world, a factor that profoundly influences their caloric needs and hunting strategies. The most characteristic physiological feature after the eyes is found in their hind limbs, which give the animal its very name. Tarsiers possess immensely elongated tarsal bones, specifically the calcaneus and navicular bones of the ankle and foot, which act as powerful levers. These elongated ankle bones account for approximately 40% of their hind limb length and are the engine for their primary mode of locomotion. Vertical clinging and leaping, VCL. When coupled with powerful thigh muscles, these long feet allow them to launch themselves vertically and horizontally across gaps of up to 5 meters, distances that are often 40 times their own body length. An astonishing feat of biomechanics that is crucial for navigating the tangled canopy and escaping predators. Finally, their hands and feet are equipped with specialized disc-like digital pads on the tips of their fingers and toes, analogous to the suction cups of certain frogs or lizards. These pads enhance their grip on smooth vertical surfaces like bamboo or moss-covered tree trunks, a non-negotiable adaptation for a clinging predator. Adding to this refinement, the second and third digits of their feet possess specialized, sharp grooming claws, which they use for cleaning their fur, a feature that links them to the prosimian primates like lemurs and lorises, despite their genetic placement closer to the higher primates, illustrating the complex mosaic evolution of the group. This physiological blueprint, defined by extreme sensory adaptation and explosive mobility, dictates a behavior that is intensely solitary, territorial, and purely predatory. But before exploring that, we must pause to consider how their unique features have positioned them in the primate family tree, leading to ongoing debates regarding their taxonomy and evolutionary position. For decades, the tarsier was a source of taxonomic controversy, its features creating a profound split among primatologists regarding its true placement. While it was traditionally grouped with lemurs and lorises in the suborder Prosimi, due to its small size, nocturnal habits, and possession of those ancestral grooming claws, modern genetic and morphological evidence decisively places it in the suborder Haplorhini, or dry-nosed primates, alongside monkeys, apes, and humans. This classification is supported by several critical shared traits: their possession of a hemichorial placenta, a lack of a reflective layer or tapetum lucidum in the eye, unlike true prosimians, and a postorbital septima, full bony enclosure around the eye socket which provides maximum protection for those oversized ocular globes. The tarsier, therefore, serves as the most primitive extant member of the Haplorhini, highlighting a deep, ancient divergence from our own lineage. Further adding to their mystery, genetic analysis reveals a unique karyotype, or chromosome set. Tarsiers possess a remarkably low diploid chromosome number, often ranging from 40 to 46, depending on the species, which represents a relatively stable genetic makeup, despite the physical variations observed across the different island forms. This genetic stability, coupled with their mosaic of primitive and advanced traits, makes the tarsier a pivotal species for studying the evolution of higher primates, demonstrating that the leap from the ancient prosimian form to the modern primate structure may have occurred via a small, specialized, nocturnal predator like the tarsier. The combination of these extreme anatomical demands and ancient genetic history dictates the specialized behavior of this tiny yet mighty predator. The behavior of all tarsier species is fundamentally governed by their nocturnal activity and their specialized locomotion, creating a rhythm of life that is silent, meticulous, and often solitary. Emerging from their daytime sleeping site, just after sunset, a dense tangle of vines, a hollow in a tree, or thick-foliaged tarsiers dedicate the dark hours to foraging, marking, and communicating. Locomotion is dominated by the vertical clinging and leaping behavior. When resting or watching for prey, the tarsier typically clings upright to a vertical support, such as a tree trunk or sapling, using its powerful hind limbs coiled beneath its body. The slightest sound or movement triggers an immediate response, a powerful, silent leap. The agility required to precisely land on a small, distant branch in the dark is extraordinary, a testament to the real-time processing of their massive eyes and hyper-acute ears. In fact, most of their nocturnal movements are comprised of a series of short, explosive jumps, interspersed with long periods of stillness and observation, a classic sit-and-wait predatory strategy. Social behavior varies subtly among the major genera, reflecting different ecological pressures. The Philippine Tarsier Carlitosiricta is typically found in monogamous pairs or small family groups, maintaining a fixed territory through nocturnal scent marking, using glands located on the abdomen and around the mouth. This pair bonding provides mutual vigilance and shared territorial defense. In contrast, many of the Sulawesi Tarsius isiapi exhibit more complex polygamous or polygynous social structures, with a single dominant male maintaining overlapping territories with several females and their offspring, suggesting a different resource distribution or population density dynamic in their respective habitats. A universal and fascinating behavioral trait across all species is their elaborate vocal communication, particularly the ritualized duets. Tarsiers use complex species-specific calls to communicate their presence, maintain territorial boundaries, and reinforce pair bonds. The duets, typically performed at dawn or dusk, involve highly coordinated sequences of chirps, whistles, and trills exchanged between a mated pair. These calls are highly stereotyped and species-specific, so much so that vocalization analysis has become a primary tool for taxonomists attempting to distinguish between the many cryptic species of Sulawesi tarsiers, such as the Dayan's tarsier or the Lariang tarsier, whose physical differences are often subtle, but whose songs are unique acoustic fingerprints. Beyond duets, they employ high-pitched ultrasonic calls for close-range communication and, notably, a piercing, often frighteningly loud alarm bark when threatened, a sound that belies their tiny size. Their feeding behavior is a rapid, deliberate process. A tarsier spots its prey, usually a large insect, spider, or small vertebrate from its clinging perch, swivels its head, and executes a single blindingly fast jump, grasping the target with its hands and immediately killing it with a rapid, powerful bite of its sharp, narrow teeth. They are pure faunivores, a rarity among primates, with a diet consisting almost exclusively of live animal matter, a high-protein, high-calorie demand that directly informs their ecological niche and habitat requirements. Furthermore, this intense specialization on animal matter sets them apart from nearly all other primates, most of which include some quantity of plant material, such as fruit, in their diet. Tarsiers actively reject plant matter, focusing their entire hunting effort on mobile prey. Their digestive system is short and simple, reflecting the high digestibility of a pure meat diet, a stark contrast to the long guts required by herbivores. This specialization means they must spend a large proportion of their active night hours hunting and consuming prey to meet their high metabolic rate. Their pure fornivorous diet is not just a preference, but a strict necessity for their high-energy, VCL-driven lifestyle, making their continued survival critically dependent on the integrity of the insect and small vertebrate populations within their habitat and ecology. The habitat and ecology of the Tarsier family is defined by a strict geographical confinement to the islands of Southeast Asia and a critical reliance on specific forest structures that facilitate their unique predatory and locomotor strategies. All tarsiers are endemic to the region, inhabiting Borneo, Sumatra, Sulawesi, and the thousands of smaller islands of the Philippines and Indonesia, including the restricted ranges of species like the Siau Island tarsier Tarsius tumpara, found only on the tiny single volcanic island of Siau. Ecologically, the tarsiers are obligate inhabitants of lowland rainforests, though their adaptability allows them to persist in certain secondary growth forests, coastal mangroves, and even dense bamboo thickets, provided the structure offers abundant vertical supports for clinging and leaping, and a sufficient density of insect life. They are absent from areas with low-density forest or open ground, as their VCL mode of travel is useless without vertical perches, illustrating the intimate link between their physiology and their preferred environment. As nocturnal, carnivorous micropredators, the tarsier holds a highly specialized trophic level in their respective island ecosystems. Their diet is almost exclusively animal matter, ranging from large insects such as crickets and beetles to spiders, small lizards, small snakes, and even occasional tiny bats or birds caught mid-flight. Their metabolic demands are high due to their small size and the energetic cost of VCL locomotion, requiring them to consume an astonishing amount of prey, often 10 to 20% of their body weight every night. This intense predation makes them crucial regulators of insect and small vertebrate populations within their niche, contributing significantly to the control of forest biodiversity. The difference in island ecology has led to what taxonomists call allopatric speciation, meaning geographic isolation on different islands, has allowed distinct species to evolve. The western tarsier Cephalopacus bancanus, found in Borneo and Sumatra, is ecologically distinct in that it tends to be more solitary and larger than many of its Sulawesi cousins, perhaps reflecting the presence of different competitors or a less densely structured forest. Conversely, the high concentration of endemic species on Sulawesi, such as the pygmy tarsier, Tarsius pumilus, which was once thought extinct until its rediscovery in 2008 in high-altitude mossy forests, demonstrates an incredible localized ecological radiation. The pygmy species is one of the smallest and is ecologically unique due to its preference for high elevation, cooler montane forests, a departure from the typical lowland rainforest habitat of its relatives. This high degree of specialization and endemism makes the entire group acutely sensitive to habitat change, defining the urgent challenges of their conservation status. The conservation status and threats facing the Tarsier family are a complex, often perilous mix of habitat loss, fragmentation, and the destructive pressures of the illegal pet trade, resulting in a conservation profile that ranges from relatively stable to critically endangered. The numerous Tarsier species are distributed across various IUCN classifications, but the overall trend points toward increasing vulnerability across the group. The Philippine Tarsier Carlitosiricta and the widespread spectral Tarsier, Tarsius spectrum of northern Sulawesi, are generally listed as least concern or near threatened, primarily because of their relatively wide distribution and localized efforts to protect them, such as in the Bohol province of the Philippines. However, even these safer species face immense localized pressure from habitat loss, driven by rapid deforestation for agriculture, palm oil plantations, and logging. Their reliance on specific vertically structured forest means that even small patches of cleared land can effectively fragment their population, isolating small groups and preventing genetic exchange, leading to localized extinction events. The most severe conservation challenges are faced by the highly endemic species found on single small islands or restricted areas. Species like the Xiao Island, Tarsier tarsius tompara, and the Peleng Tarsier Tarsius pelengensis are classified as vulnerable or endangered. The Xiao Island Tarsier, for instance, lives only on a small volcanic island that is ecologically compromised by agriculture and the continuous threat of volcanic activity, placing its entire population at existential risk from a single catastrophic event. A major, persistent threat across all species is the illegal pet trade. The Tarsier's large, cute eyes and small size make them highly desirable in the exotic pet market, particularly in Southeast Asia and internationally. However, Tarsiers are extremely delicate and complex animals whose physiological and behavioral needs are almost impossible to meet in captivity. Their high-stress nature, specialized diet of live insects, and strictly nocturnal behavior mean that wild-caught tarsiers typically die within weeks or months due to stress, malnutrition, or trauma. The collection methods themselves are often destructive, involving the cutting down of entire trees or the use of bright lights to stun them, causing permanent damage to their hypersensitive retinas. This trade poses a severe, unsustainable drain on wild populations, especially the rarer, more highly valued species. Furthermore, tarsiers face significant threats from pesticides and human persecution. Being obligate insectivores, they are highly susceptible to secondary poisoning from agricultural pesticides used in nearby farmlands, leading to mortality or reproductive failure. In some regions, they are also occasionally hunted for subsistence food or tragically killed by locals, who are startled by their strange appearance and sudden, loud barks, viewing them with superstition as bad omens or pests. Conservation efforts are now shifting from generalized protection to highly focused, community-based initiatives, emphasizing the tarsier's value as a unique ecotourism attraction, as seen in the Philippines, to provide local economic incentives for preservation. Arguing that a live tarsier drawing tourists is infinitely more valuable than a dead one in the pet market, a critical pivot for ensuring the survival of the most endangered island species. This shift towards in situ protection is necessary because efforts in ex situ conservation, or captive breeding programs, have historically met with almost universal failure, a critical point that underscores the species' ecological fragility. Unlike many other primates, the tarsier is not genetically predisposed to thrive in an artificial environment. Their physiology is simply too finely tuned to the wild. The primary failure points are intensely behavioral and metabolic. Tarsiers exhibit an extreme sensitivity to stress and the constant presence of human caretakers, the inability to execute their characteristic long-distance leaps, and the noise and light pollution of a facility trigger a severe, often fatal stress-induced syndrome. This syndrome manifests as self-mutilation, severe appetite suppression, and chronic, debilitating illness. Furthermore, replicating their exact dietary needs, which must consist of live, freshly captured insects and vertebrates, often in immense quantity, proves prohibitively difficult and expensive to maintain long-term. Even successful breeding in captivity has been extremely rare, and when it does occur, the resulting offspring often fail to thrive. Consequently, the global conservation strategy for all Tarsier species relies almost entirely on protecting the habitat and educating local communities to reduce persecution and pet trade capture, acknowledging that the best, perhaps only, place a tarsier can survive is the forest itself. Given their bizarre appearance, hypermobile neck, and nocturnal habits, it is no surprise that tarsiers have woven themselves deeply into popular culture, folklore, and legend throughout their native range, often serving as characters of mystery and superstition. In many indigenous and local communities, particularly across the Indonesian and Philippine islands, the tarsier is viewed with a mixture of awe and fear. Its ability to swivel its head 360 degrees, its silent, rapid jumping, and its habit of staring unblinkingly at intruders with its immense dark eyes have cemented its reputation as a spirit animal or a creature with supernatural ties. Local names for the tarsier often translate to ghost monkey or little man of the bush, reflecting its elusive, almost phantom-like presence. Folklore often dictates that if a human encounters a tarsier and its head rotates, the human's neck will somehow become similarly twisted, leading to a strong cultural aversion to harming or directly confronting the animal, a form of natural protection rooted in superstition. A specific, widespread belief holds that the tarsier's large head is not attached to its body, or that the creature can detach and reattach its head at will, a direct and imaginative interpretation of their astonishing neck rotation capability. This legend sometimes links them to mischievous forest spirits that play tricks on travelers. In certain areas of the Philippines, the tarsier is believed to be a guardian of the forest, whose welfare is linked to the health of the community. If a tarsier is harmed, it is said that the forest will retaliate with bad luck or illness, offering a cultural injunction against deforestation and hunting, serving as an ancient form of localized environmental protection. In the realm of popular culture, the tarsier's unique look has made it a memorable, if often anthropomorphized, figure in animated media. The Philippine tarsier, in particular, has become a symbol of national pride and biodiversity, frequently appearing on official tourism materials and as a mascot for conservation campaigns. The exaggerated features, the huge eyes, and tiny body lend themselves perfectly to animation, where they are often portrayed as wise, nervous, or intensely focused characters, reflecting their real-world traits of vigilance and stillness. Perhaps the most internationally recognized, albeit generalized, appearance of the tarsier's characteristics in popular culture is found in Star Wars. The physical features of the tarsier, particularly the large eyes, small body, and agile, leaping movements, have been cited as one of the inspirations for the beloved character Yoda. This translation of the Tarsier's physiological reality into the design of a wise, ancient, and highly agile alien species showcases how this diminutive primate's extreme adaptations resonate with universal themes of mystery, power, and surprising capability. A soft, silent creature from the canopies of Southeast Asia, whose image has unexpectedly entered the galactic consciousness. This cultural echo, combined with its profound evolutionary history and ecological importance, elevates the Tarsier from a mere forest dweller to a powerful, albeit fragile, emblem of the wild, unique biodiversity of the world's most remote island chains. In conclusion, the Tarsier infraorder is a spectacular demonstration of evolutionary specialization, a lineage that has survived for 45 million years by perfecting the art of the nocturnal leap. From the bizarre, non-moving eyes that weigh more than its brain to the hyper-extended tarsal bones that power its explosive mobility, every aspect of its physiology is a finely tuned machine for catching prey in the dark. Its place in taxonomy as the most primitive haplohyne, defined by its stable karyotype and bony eye socket, makes it a pivot point in primate evolution. Its solitary territorial behavior, reinforced by species-specific vocal duets, and its unique ecological role as a highly demanding faunivore in the rainforests of Sunderland, underscore its importance as a micro-predator. However, its immense fragility in the face of human activity, including severe habitat fragmentation and the disastrous pressures of the illegal pet trade, coupled with the near impossibility of ex situ conservation due to stress and dietary demands, places many species, particularly the highly endemic island forms, at significant risk, making their conservation a race against time. The Tarsier, the ghost monkey of local folklore, and a surprising inspiration for figures in popular culture, remains an essential, unblinking sentinel in the dwindling forests of Southeast Asia, a tiny primate carrying the full weight of evolutionary history on its specialized clinging feet. Thank you, and good night. Good evening, and welcome to the Sleeping Zoo. Facts to fall asleep to.